people started to talk about biohacking, and I realised that I was an accidental biohacker, and I started to bio-stack in my studio. And just one thing led to the other. So I've been very fortunate that although it's science-led technology now, I really saw the human side of it first and how it really changed lives.
So welcome, Natt Summers, to the Being Human podcast.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Delighted. This is a moment, right? Because you're the first female to have in the hot seat, and I'm excited by it because I know we've talked a lot about your kind of story and the backgrounds and the avenues that you've gone down, but we're going to explore a little bit of that. But for the audience that's listening, why don't we start where you are now and find out what's Natt up to at the moment and what's exciting you? What's, what have you been doing?
Okay, so at the moment I have my own studio and I train mainly with power plates and weights, and it's all about longevity. So I have a small business that we've just set up on the sideline now that's called the Longevity Lane, and it's all about putting technology in spas, in gyms, in homes that allows people to train effectively for longevity and health span over anything else. So I still very much work with one-to-one clients. I run small groups, and I also do business consultancy.
Wow. Hey? So let's explore Longevity Lane, because I know I've heard a little bit about it, but not really been immersed in it. So expand a little bit on why it came about. What attracted you to that kind of thought process? So
it was really by accident. About 7 or 8 years ago, I had a lot of people that were suffering with fatigue in my studio, and they'd trained with me for a long time, and they suddenly started getting viruses that they couldn't shift. And then COVID came as well. And I'd been doing a bit of reading about red light, and I'd been working with a guy called Gideon up in Kicks in London, and they were looking into red light therapy at the time as well. And at the same time, I had sciatica, and I was absolutely desperate to find something that would help me move better. So I invested in red light, and my clients were really intrigued. Every time they came into the studio, I either had a power plate vibration gun on my leg or the red light. And I started putting it with their workouts because they were kind of impressed by it and wanted to know. They wanted a piece of what I was doing. Yeah. So I just started adding it in, and they became my guinea pigs, willing guinea pigs, I should say. And we started adding it in with different power plate workouts, with kind of traditional PT. And then I also have an infrared heated studio. So we added in the heat as well. And we just played around with it. And then during the COVID years, I realized that all of my clients that were using red light therapy didn't have COVID. So none of them had COVID. Right. And then the people that came to us because they had COVID or symptoms of long COVID healed a lot quicker in the red light than without it. So it became kind of the backbone of my business. And I very quickly swapped over to just specialize in red light. And then a few years later, PowerPlate launched a bike, the Rev bike, which is vibration, and I started adding in high intensity intervals, so it's now known as rehit on the bike, with my power plate training, with the red light. And coincidentally, Whoop started to have a moment at the same time, and I was able to track all of my clients' data and see that their VO2 was increasing, their HRV was improving, so their heart rate variability, their sort of general body composition, what I was tracking within body was much better, and it was just like everything was pointing in the right direction. And that then started to talk about started to talk about biohacking, and I realized that I was an accidental biohacker, and I started to bio-stack in my studio. And just one thing led to the other. So I've been very fortunate that although it's science-led technology now, I really saw the human side of it first and how it really changed lives.
We should have repitched that, shouldn't we? You were the start of biohack. We could have repurposed it. But no, I think it's fascinating, isn't it? Because that trend has really, really hit now. Yeah. It's taken off. And I think a lot of people are talking about whether it's biohack and into stack. Yeah. But the fact that we've got you almost doing it by default and you found it, and then it's actually having results. And I think that's one of the things that you always find in the health and fitness industry. There's a trend that will come along. Yeah. But do we track it? Do we really understand it, and what impact does it have? And we see a lot of trends. Absolutely. But I do believe that this kind of biohack and the stack and how that's starting to evolve is a trend that's probably going to turn into a proper mainstream element, because and proof is in the pudding. What you've got now,
it's definitely going to change how group exercise is done as well, because people are expecting gyms now to have a red light sauna, a cold plunge. They're expecting to work out or recover in red light. They're expecting vibration technology. That there's sort of third space have obviously put it in. A lot of gyms are putting it in now, but I think the gym model is changing massively. And with group fitness exercise, community classes have always been really popular. I think we'll see a slowdown in that unless the group instructors invest in things like small red lights where they can bring them to the classroom and they can give that little bit more to their community. I think social connection is something that we need to look at more in the industry now as a sort of fitness pillar or wellness pillar as well. And I think when people are turning their backs on community classes for a lot of group instructors, if they can bring that community back with a healing protocol, with a recovery protocol, I think it'll add to the level of expertise that those fitness instructors bring. But I think we're seeing a massive change at the moment, and it is very much about wellness and wellness that works, technology that works. And I think red light became so popular because it was such an easy win for people. It was like, come to the studio, feel good at 3 p.m. 3 p.m, they felt amazing. Yeah. So, I work a lot with mindset as well. So I was always a bit in the beginning, I'm manipulating people into thinking they're going to feel good at 3 p.m. But actually it was across the board and they slept better. And, it was an instant reaction. And then over 3 to 6 months, everyone started to say, actually, my grey hair on the left side of my head is not grey anymore. And that's where I chat to my friend against the light. Is there something in it? And then the more I researched it, the more the pro-aging was, the healing, everything. So, it's just really
It does
grown.
mean a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the fact that you are genuinely tracking and observing, and I don't think we get as much as we need to on that with a lot of the club chains and everything. It's a product and it's a service.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily invested. I think that's the difference when you own a studio and you've got the time to understand and truly identify with your audience and build rapport, but also track and show that they are improving or they are seeing change. Yeah. That's a really powerful message, right?
I think it is. And, we were in classes where 2 of them out of 6 would have a Whoop, and then suddenly 6 of them have got a Whoop, and then we've all got the same trainers on. It does become a little community. And then I was thinking, for a long time I was a bit upset because I was called, you're one of Natt's cult. And I was like, that's a bit rude. But actually now I own it. Yeah, you're part of my cult. That's good. You're taking on things. You're looking better. People are moving better with red light, definitely, And lots of people are having blood work done now. It's just adding to the message, red light is having a positive impact on their performance. And it's also accountability. I'm there every week, so if they don't come, I'll follow them up. So I've never lost the personal touch with my group training, like that side of it. Yeah. And even my customers that, maybe can't afford me anymore, have gone to other personal trainers, they always come back. Personal trainers always come in and they're kind of, I want a bit of that. I'm going to, and I'm like, great. But everyone's a bit shy. They sort of pull away. But what I've realized now is the customer always comes back, because it's about the experience. When you walk into a gym now, you have to give a personal experience if you are going to make it as a personal trainer in the industry. And that's not just count your reps, talk about strength training. It's everything. You have to be really on it now. And I think a lot of personal trainers are failing at the moment because they're not able to give it everything. They don't remember their clients' kind of fears from last week or, what they're doing next week. And even things like retention, something as simple as, we worked really well today on that. Next week, we're going to advance it or do this. The amount of PTs that I've been to or been in the presence of, and they're like, right, see you next week, as if it's a given. They're not sort of given that, let's really work on it, come back, I'll put you through this. The caring aspect of personal training is very low.
We've talked a lot on this podcast with various leaders and entrepreneurs. Yeah. And this has come up quite a lot. Yeah. It's around the ability of soft skills. It's around creating conversation. Yeah. It's around elongating a relationship that takes you through challenges and through goals that they want to do and outcomes. But you do need to be personal.
Definitely.
You have to have that relationship. Yeah. And you touched on something about mindset, and I think that again is something that's very much forgotten. We have a product, we have a service, we have a program. Yeah. But where's that kind of experience and personal experience with the client that makes them fall in love with you or feel good?
Yeah.
What is it that does that? So you're touching on the mindset, and I think for a lot of personal trainers that might be listening to this, that's the one thing that I would work on.
Oh, absolutely. And I when I was younger, everyone had a talent, and I used to look at them and think, oh, I was good at everything, not like A star, but I could play sports, I could get good grades, but I never excelled at anything, or I never wanted to excel. Maybe now I realize at anything, and kind of that C average person, but looking around thinking, oh, they can play the trombone or whatever it was. I never used to think I had a talent. I remember my dad once saying, your talent's your personality. And I was like, oh, who wants that? Who wants that? And now when I look back, I think, well, maybe that has been my gift. And, mindset, when you become a personal trainer, certainly 20 years ago, I qualified with YMCA Fit, they were brilliant at the time, and I really enjoyed my training, but they didn't touch on mindset as much. And I think that's the missing piece in personal training. And, I did a talk for, I think it was Josh Mullins at, one of the Body Power exhibitions, and it was on small group personal training. And one of the audience said, well, how come you've got clients still, 15 years qualified at that time, and you've still got clients 15 years later? And I was like, well, yes. And they were like, what's the key? And I couldn't answer because I didn't know what the key was. But then about after the what was it? Yeah, it would have been about 6 weeks later. I was at the same event, so it was like a multi event in the NEC, and there was a guy called Callum that was doing a chat for. You've probably heard of him, Callum Haddington. He was a great guy. He did the Mindset Academy, and he was doing a talk. And the guy in the audience said to me, come and watch this talk with me. It's on mindfulness. And I was a bit like, rolled my eyes. I was like, oh, I'm not into mindfulness, but I sort of thought I'd be polite. Anyway, I got to the tent and I sat down and I thought, oh, this isn't, no one has spoken yet, but I was like, oh, I've got to go. So I said, I'll just pop to Lou, thinking I'm never going to see this guy again. So I leave, and halfway out, leaving out of the tent, there was about 350 people there. Callum goes, where are you going? The guy on stage. And I was like, oh, I'm going to the toilet. And he was like, well, wait. I was like, oh no. So I came out the tent, had to pretend that I went to the toilet, came back. And actually it was a mindset talk. And within the first 5 minutes of him talking, I realised that I was a natural mindset coach. I obviously signed up to his Mindset Academy because he was brilliant. But I realised that is why people stay, because they come to me and it is like an onion. You peel back, why they want to do things, why they're with you, why they're invested in you. And I think also when we go to personal training, they are given their personal time to us, their free time. And what that's a lot for somebody to pay you to spend time with you on their free time. It's a long forgotten in the fitness industry. That's a privilege.
It is, and it's so refreshing to hear you talk about it, because we go on about it at Pocket Rocket Group and various things that we're working with and talking to people like on the same mindset, but it's lost. Yeah, it's definitely been lost in our sector. Yeah. So it's something that we need to strive to get back. Yeah. And this is, I think, sometimes just talking like this allows us to reset and go, do you know what, we do need to do more. Yeah, we have to get that out there. Definitely. So it's good. So we touched on Skull.
Yes.
So why don't we go there? Why don't we go back a few years? Yeah. Where did it start? How was school for you? What was life like then?
So I loved school. I was active. I was a massive fan of geology, so rock hopping and things like that. Right. And, I went to university to study geology, actually. So whilst I was interested in sport, and I used to do mountain biking and compete a little bit as well, my boyfriend at the time was really into it, so he got me into it and I loved it. But when I did my degree, and I came out for my degree, I just thought, actually, I really want to help people. And I actually ended up taking my Chartered Institute of Marketing exams, and I ended up being a technical author of all things. So I used to sit with the programmers, and they were morbidly obese, they were unhappy, they didn't have relationships, and I'd go downstairs and ask them, what does this red button do, so I can write about it in a software manual? And then I'd be like, oh, you should move more, you should eat less, So I started helping them, and I just saw so much value in them. Lots of them lost a lot of weight, they started getting girlfriends, and I thought, actually, I think I could do this for a living. It's always that classic, isn't it? My husband and I just moved house, and I came up with I got within 2 months living in this lovely house, I sort of said, oh, I think I'm going to become a personal trainer. And I'd just gone back after maternity leave as well. So I'd been inspired by, I had gestational diabetes as when I was pregnant. So I'd gone to a personal trainer and the experience was very low. It was, and I just
Yeah.
thought, gosh, you're making me feel so bad for being overweight. I bet I can help people because I bet you're making everyone feel like this.
Yeah.
So the bomb was, I'm going to become a personal trainer and quit my job. And my husband was like, oh, no, you can't. Actually, I was just on maternity leave. That's right. And I said, well, I'm going to retrain on maternity leave. And that's what I did. I phoned home to my dad, not afraid to admit, and said, Dad, can you lend me some money so I can do my personal training exams? And he said, sure. And within 9 months, I'd qualified as a PT and I had a full list. And I went back to work for the company who were brilliant for maybe 2 weeks. And I said to my husband, right, I'm going to quit. And he said, well, you can't quit unless you've got this much money coming in because we really need it. And I went, I've doubled it. And that's, I never looked back. So,
I love that. And what was your experience like of doing your qualification back then?
So my tutor, Richard, who's I'm still in contact with on Facebook, and he's no longer teaching anymore. He's a vicar, but they were brilliant, I have to say. So it was very practical. I chose YMCA Fit because there was Premier at the time, which I know is no longer going, but they were seen as very academic. And I'd trained I'd employed Premier PTs, and I found them very academic, very science-based, but they had absolutely zero skills in applying what they'd learned. And I thought, right, I'm just not going to do Premier. I'm going to go to YMCA Fit. And I thought they were very good, YMCA Fit, at teaching us to apply our skills. So yeah, it was good actually. And I know everyone talks about now, oh, you can like qualify in 6 weeks as a personal trainer, and that's fine. And I've come to the conclusion, I used to be like a bit sort of like, oh, they can't be a personal trainer. They've only like paid £500 and all the rest of it. But now I think if you're going to be a good personal trainer, qualification doesn't matter so much. It's how you apply your knowledge. It's what you go, how you service your clients. But it's more than that. It's what you want to be. And, and I think that's lost as well. A lot of people tick boxes to be a PT. So I was on a course, there was 32 of us. I think there was 30 actors in our cohort. And I think there's only myself and Shelley still doing it. No one continued past 2 years. And that seems to be when I take on personal trainers in my studio, which I no longer do, which that'll be a longer story. But I find they do 2 years and then they give up. There's no resilience. Just no resilience.
What a word that is. Resilience. So I think that the industry is not helping the situation. No. I think we have to pick up the standards.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're talking about values here that are under the current of resilience and empathy and understanding what makes someone tick for the benefit of them, and then applying what you need to do to make them keep going with it. And I think it's lost at the moment. We've got to kind of find some case studies of people doing it right, like yourself, and I'm sure there's others out there that we need to shout about. But it does feel like there's a minority there versus the majority of it's just tick box. It's just get through. It's qualify because I can see dollar signs. And that's the kind of breed that we've got at the moment.
Definitely. And a lot of times when I'm sent a profile by a personal trainer who's looking for work, I'll look at their Instagram and it's all them. Every grid is, this is how I do it, this is what I've done, and that's great. Where's your community? Who is your audience? And yet they've got thousands of views or millions of TikToks and all the rest of it, but what's their goal? Who is their audience? I want to see your audience. I want to see your community. Who are you wanting to help? It's great what you can do, but I used to be able to do a muscle up. I can't do a muscle up anymore. That doesn't mean that I can't teach a good muscle up. So I think the whole idea of aesthetics and how you look for personal trainers is ruling a little bit now, and I don't think it needs to. I think if you're a good coach, you'll break down any exercise and you'll give the belief to anyone in your on your list or your personal training list. You'll make them do what they need to do if they need to do it. You don't have to be able to do 100 things and show it on Instagram to be a good personal trainer. And I think it's sad at the moment you've got that kind of element on social media where it's like, how many followers do you have? What's this about? Because I'm a bit anti-social media, and I've got loads of people saying, do it, go and do it like she does it, or go and do it like her, get your kit off. I don't want to. Thanks. That's not me. I'm more about my community. I'd rather put them up and shout them out than sort of stand on there, say what I can do or what I can't do, because it's not about me. It's not about me.
There's a major lesson there, Nat.
Yeah. It's not,
I mean,
it's not about us.
If you were to give that one piece of advice right across this network right now, that would be it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would be, don't focus on yourself.
Yeah, focus on your community.
Focus on your community.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had it all in the studio now. I've had personal trainers that come in and go, "Oh, I only want to train the Gymshark community, and your clients are all over 30." That's right, because over 30, they appreciate the cost. They can afford personal training, and they're coming for a reason. I don't know many under 30s that can afford PT 3 times a week, but they're sold that lie when they go and do their qualifications. You can train 30-year-olds at £75 an hour from the get-go. And that's the other interesting thing. I'm a bit naughty nowadays. I'm a bit less polite, maybe it is my age, but if someone phones up and they say,
real.
"Oh, yeah, a bit real," that's it. They'll phone up and say, "Oh, I'm £75 an hour. Can I work out of your studio? How does it work?" And I'm like, "Okay, so are you telling me that I've got to pay you £75 an hour?" "Yes, that's right. I'm £75 an hour." "Okay." So now I strip it back and I go, how does that work for a business model for a studio? If you're approaching studios and you are £75 an hour, you are bringing 0 clients. What do you think the studio is getting out of that? Oh, you're getting a good PT. So you can add on. They always say you can add on what you want on top. So you want me to put you out at £85, £90 an hour? You're just barely qualified and you've got no clients. And they go, yes. And I'm like, "Oh, the gym down the road will do it." "Great, go there."
Yeah, cheers.
And then come back
Off
in
you
3
go.
months because, how many people walk into a studio with a ready-made personal training list and can charge £75 an hour? It's delusional.
It's arrogance.
It is
Isn't
arrogance.
it?
Yeah.
I mean,
but they're taught this on these courses.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's another element that I think is really, really wrong at the moment is when we talk about the business skills of growing a PT business, it is so fundamentally abnormal rather than it being real.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're giving you examples of making, £2,000 a week within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
No. All online as well, don't forget.
Yeah, it's all online.
It's
all online. But if any business in any industry, in any sector, will tell you that it takes around about 3 years to build a proper business that is sustainable, and done in the right way.
Yeah.
And so it's just not right that we're having these conversations around, you'll be up and running within 3 weeks and you'll be go out the door and you'll be earning £90 an hour. It's just not right. However, we are where we are and we have to battle that.
Yeah.
And I think these types of chats going out there, it's real, it's raw, and actually it's someone who's doing it live as a living and doing it by the right context.
And what's fascinating, Nick, is, people go, "I'm looking for a mentor." And I used to mentor for free. So I used to do a pay it forward. Never asked them to write a testimonial or anything. I'd just be like, you could see on these groups who's struggling. So I say, "Okay, I'll take you on as a pay it forward." I didn't once have a thank you by any of those PTs. I'll never mention their names, but good for them, And that was me giving something, so that's on me. That was, and I enjoyed doing it when I was doing it. But now you have, "Oh, I'll be your mentor. I'm £200 an hour, this, that, and the other." And I just write underneath now on Facebook, if you're engaging in a mentor and paying a mentor, are they, 1, still in the industry? 2, have they been in the industry and actually trained face-to-face for longer than 3 years? And, what's their journey? And, of course, a lot of these mentors, and they're getting the money. I've got a very good friend that's never trained someone, and she's thousands of pounds a month. I don't know if she has she has the odd client, but, the people are paying her as a mentor. She's never worked with a client in her life. She's not going to tell them that, but I know that. And that's part of the problem. You've got a lot of people wanting to be mentors to new PTs, but they're not in the industry. They haven't worked with people for years. And it's fascinating. And people look at their Instagram and go, "I'll take them on as a mentor." Years ago, I did the body development. Have you heard? Do you know Tom Crevington?
No, tell me more. Come on.
And it was in Bath, and I did it for 2 years. I was terrified of Tom, absolutely terrified. He put all the PTs through like a disgusting hard workout, and I was working with Bear at the time because I had another company with Bear. So I was always shattered, gone to bed at 2 a.m., left at 6 a.m. to make it to Bath, like never wanted to let on, but got there at 6 a.m. trying to, or got there at 8 a.m. trying to look all like
Coffee
alive.
loaded.
Yeah, like here we go. And it was all men's health model PTs there. And there was only about 2 or 3 females, but I did it for 2 years. And he was brilliant. He was a great mentor. He was more about how he gets his results with his clients. So it's very practical, which I quite enjoyed. But he's very good at the sort of theory side as well. But it was all about practical. Well, I literally lived in fear, but I paid him £3,000 for the first year and 2.5 for the second year. But it just had a way about him that was great. But there's no female mentors,
Yeah.
And his wife Karen's amazing, and she was there the whole time as well. But it's funny because if you're going to invest in someone, I would say Tom would be the one to invest in. I would say my business side was better in terms of I was there interested in the business side, but actually in hindsight, I already had that side and I should have probably invested more in the practical side. But I learned a lot from him. There's not many people out there doing it now, and you commit to one weekend every month, and it's that accountability, right? So every month you go and yeah, it was fascinating, but there's nothing out there like that anymore.
But I think as well, it's everyone. Again, it's this. There's an ego out there that I don't need to learn anymore.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah,
I don't stop learning.
Yeah, and Tom doesn't stop learning, which is what I like.
Yeah, exactly. People are always learning and developing their skill set, and even refining. Right? Yeah. It's refining is about learning how to do it differently.
Yeah, definitely.
And scoping it out and reaching a different audience because of the way that you pitch it. So I do think there's. If you've got the humility to be able to continue to learn, it makes you real again.
Absolutely.
And we're back to that being human. Yeah. If you pull it and strip it back, if you just be yourself and be human about it, and don't try and be someone who you're not, the chances are your skill set's coming out. You mentioned about your number one trait is personality, and I know that. We've talked, and your personality shines.
Thank you.
For anybody listening, what does it mean to you to keep honing that personality, making sure that it's alive and kicking constantly? Because again, we're on a journey here that's 20, 30 years deep for you.
Yeah.
So. How do you keep it going? What makes you tick?
So it's definitely my clients make me click. What I get from them as well. So if I can make someone's day better, or make someone's life better, or give them an extra year with their dad who's got cancer, or whatever, that is what makes me tick. So I feed off people. I definitely do, and I love energy, and I love the best thing is in the world when someone comes in and they're miserable and they're like looking at me like I'm here for PT because I need to lose weight, and I'm like, oh, we're going to be best friends. So they just don't know it yet. And that's a real challenge for me, to sort of to take someone from where they are rock bottom and really put them on top. I've had a gentleman who's just moved out to Dubai, and within the last year, he's changed his business. He looks insane, and he's got so much confidence. And he's just taken off all of his family out to Dubai, and I just think, and he came in not beaten down or anything like that, but he wasn't where he is now. So I like giving people business advice, so they'll sound off in their sessions with me as well. And I really thrive off that, because then you're helping them. It's behind closed doors, and every client who comes in that's had a bit of a challenge in business, we talk through and all the rest of it. So you do. For me, my personality does, like, I'm a bit of a fixer, I guess,
Yeah,
so.
and I think, and again, we if we can make money from that, brilliant, right?
Yeah.
That's the business.
Great. Yeah, because we've all got bills to pay. That's what I keep saying to people as well. Because I am terrible, and actually the Year of the Horse is coming up next month, but I am terrible at doing things for free, because I love it. Like, Natt will do it. She just loves it, 'cause look at her go. Yeah. And now I'm starting to say, actually, I do need to make money out of this. And also, I had a great conversation with someone about 3 months ago, and they were like, you've got to know your value. And I think I do lose that sometimes. I think, nobody's interested in that, or I don't have any value. And then I think, well, actually, that's what I've got to back myself more. That's what I'm doing for 2026. I'm going to back myself more. Yeah. Because I've said no to a lot of things I should have said yes to kind of stay small. Because, the downside of personal training is you have all of these amazingly kind of successful individuals, and somewhere along the line, somebody likes to keep you small. And I think I've definitely allowed that to happen to myself. So I am definitely shedding that for 2026.
I love that.
I'll be back next year going, I didn't do it. I will. So I'm committing
the
to
goal,
bits
right?
more.
It's the goal. And
absolutely.
the goal will happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's again, personality will drive that.
Yeah.
So you talked about resilience.
Yes.
How important is resilience to the work that you're in, the sector that we're in?
Yeah.
How important is that word?
It's top of the list. It is top of the list. You have to, when you leave work, you have to be able to leave everybody's problems behind when you shut the door, because no matter who you are bombarded with people's problems all day, because that's what they come to us for. So you have to be resilient to that, and again, when you're dealing with personalities, I've had people throw shoes at me. I've had people kind of like have a paddy, kind of like, unbelievable things happen behind closed doors, and you have to be resilient and not take it personally, know, and that is hard, because you do cross over into friendships with personal training, and they sometimes people flip it back quite quickly to you just being a personal trainer. And I think that's the hurt factor for a lot of PTs. They can't be resilient to that. And they say you get harder as you get older, but I think you just learn to deal with it better. You expect it, which is sad, but if you can expect it, and it doesn't happen, and someone's not rude to you in a day, that's a good thing. But people are rude to personal trainers. There's no two ways about it, And I bet when you were a personal trainer, it's like, and to bite your tongue sometimes and not tell them where to go.
You've got to. But that I do think that comes from one personality. And having the right personality to cope with that. And I'm not so sure whether, again, we have a cohort of PTs now that have the personality to deal with
it's
arguments,
true.
confrontation, whatever it might be, because you don't know what that person's going through that is your client.
You
right?
don't.
Unless you can reach out and you can ask, but you're not going to pry into it fully. You don't know what you're receiving on that day, which is why you have to be really open book.
You do. Every day you have to start your day with, new day. That's it. Wipe the slate clean. And, I had sciatica for 2 years, and I thought I was going to have to give up my business and clothes and all the rest of it. But people say, how did you get through it? Because I took no painkillers in the end, because I was just like, this is dire. And every morning I woke up and I thought, it's going to get better one of these days. So every day I started with, okay, I've only got it for today. And eventually, I healed. Bizarrely, I've always used power plates, as you know, and I was told not to use a power plate because it was overstimulating my sciatic nerve. So I stopped using power plates. Wow. And then as soon as I bumped into an old client of mine, and they had been crippled with sciatica for 9 years before they came to my studio, and they'd moved up to Scotland. And she said, oh my God, I'm down seeing a friend. So glad I bumped into you. She said, what's wrong with you? I said, oh, I've got a bit of sciatica. She went, why don't you just do the program you wrote for me? And it was like a light bulb moment. Why don't I? Because actually I help people. So I just followed the program that I wrote for her, and 6 weeks later with red light and power plate, I was better. But when you're in the midst of it, but the resilience to wake up every day and think, right, I'm going to work no matter what, it's
positive mindset.
Yeah, it is. And it's definitely a positive mindset. And, I worked with Bear I still train Bear now. So
we've touched on this a couple of times, but for the audience, tell a little bit about that story, because that was a couple of years of your life, living in a whirlwind.
Yeah, so
from what you told me.
Yeah, so I first met Bear, I'm going to say it must be 20.
And for the audience, this is Bear Grylls.
Yeah, Bear Grylls. I must have met him 20 years ago now, so it's a long time. So he just started doing his, God, I can't remember the name of his program, Man vs. Wild.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bear. Man vs. Wild. And Mike, my husband, had been away for about 3 weeks, and my lovely client, who I still train now, and she's amazing, she'd bought a gift voucher for his wife, Shara. So Shara came in, and she brought her husband with her. And he was just all over everything I was doing with her. And I thought, this is a bit weird. Anyway, eventually, somehow, all of these lovely women gave Bear and Shara the 9 o'clock slot, which was like waitlisted. Nobody could get hold of it. And out of nowhere, Bear and Shara managed to get the 9 a.m. slot Monday to Friday. So I was like, okay. And I had no idea who Bear was, which is crazy to think back now. But he has his, obviously, popularity has grown since then as well. And I remember Mike was away, my husband, and it came back. And I sort of had this really energetic quite a strange guy in my studio called Bear. And Mike's like, not Bear Grylls. He lives around here. And I was like, well, hang on, let me have a look at his form. So I go over, look at his form. I was like, oh, yeah, it's Bear Grylls. So then he shows me a picture of him on the YouTube. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's Bear. So then I was like, oh, God, I can't train him because I'm not insured, all the rest of it. So, you go through that whole thing. Yeah. And then Bear had broken his back in multiple places. And he just said, he started using the power plate and he just said, I'm loving my training and I don't want to stop and I want to carry on. So he trained every day for years with me and we wrote a book together called Your Life Train for It. So it's #1 bestseller. And then we set up a business together that was called Bear Grylls Fitness at the time when we started, or Bear Grylls Epic Training. And it was all about 30-minute exercise to stay strong. And it was kettlebells, primal stretch and body weight. So it was 3 really simple disciplines, and that's what we'd written the book on as well. And then we set up franchises, but I think we're a bit too soon. So we were a bit ahead of our time. And then we sort of partnered with, we took on some James Balfour and his sister as part of the business. It evolved a little bit to assault courses, and we set them up with trampoline company, and we went in. And, I mean, it was really, really great. But then it evolved a little bit, and it was time for me to exit and concentrate on myself. And when we talk about what makes me tick, I loved working with Bear. It was Bear and I's company to start with. Yeah. We were fully in it together, but I did miss my clients, and I'd kept my studio the whole time. So I sort of started doing a few more of my clients. Thought, actually, this is where I am. So I exited that company. Still really good friends with Bear. He still trains every week with me. So, yeah.
And what was, I mean, interesting, just more about him. So your energy levels are high.
Yeah.
What was his energy levels like?
I think I made his energy levels better.
You think?
I do think I do. Yeah, he was vegan.
Love that.
He was vegan when I first met him, or vegetarian, and then I got him to start eating meat as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So because he was a warrior. So I was like, I think warriors need a little bit of meat. He was writing books then on food and stuff. Bear is brilliant at being himself. He's just very grounded. Yeah. Shara's lovely. He's very family orientated. He is very much as he portrays himself. So and I think the two of us together were great,
Yeah, I know we've talked and you've always spoke fondly of it. And it's good for the audience to hear again, working with someone who is very much out there in the public domain, but they're down to earth.
They are, definitely.
They're just doing their training.
Yeah, and he's now be military fit. So they're sort of gone to do urban franchises now, which is very much what Bear and I had done in the very beginning. So that's quite nice to sort of see him be successful in that aspect as well. But yeah, no, he's a scout. He'll always be a scout.
Yeah.
But he's an amazing friend and amazing husband to Shara. And he's a good guy. He's a good guy. And he's one of those guys in the industry where everyone's like, oh my God, is he this, that, and the other? And like, no, he's exactly who he is. And do you know what? What's amazing is he's made a business and a lifestyle, and he's really successful out of being himself. How nice is that? Not many people can say that.
Yeah. And that's listen, a few more people could do it. And, if they're true to themselves.
Yeah. And that's it. Authenticity. Authenticity does count a lot, And I'm seeing that in my business actually now. So I kind of caved a few years ago, and when some PTs wanted to come on and wanted to go back to doing kind of HIIT classes and all the rest of it. We'd always done boot camps, but I was like, okay, that's kind of like, go back to it. And I was spending so much energy supporting these personal trainers so they could have these classes. And I was thinking, what am I doing? I'm going back 15 years and actually they're just turning up. I'm writing the programs, they're delivering them, they're not invested in it. So at the start of this year I cut it all as well. I thought I've got to be true to what we do, and that
2026 again.
2026. I was like, we are a red light and power plate studio. We've always been a power plate studio. We are personal trainers and small group PT and event boot camps, and I've gone back to basics. I've gone back to basics with all of my training, back to basics of business. And I think COVID changed it a little bit because, I was online in COVID, 6 a.m. every day for 2 years.
Yeah.
And, in all of that time, I can count on my one hand how many of my clients went, how are you, Nat? Because it was like, how are you? Because every day, because you just prop them up. And I think that was expected when I came back to the studio. I'd sort of given a lot. So I've slowly been picking myself back out of that, which takes courage as well.
I love it, Nat, that you you pivoted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when COVID hit,
yeah,
whoever was going to survive was the survival of the fittest, i.e. is your brain ticking? Can you pivot? Are you agile enough to change?
Yeah.
And then what you're doing now is just regrouping and saying, you know what, we're through that.
Yeah.
What do I want to do?
Yeah.
And I think that's true to yourself as well, in the sense of the personality coming out again. Definitely. Simplicity is the way forward, isn't it?
I mean, it really is. It really is. It really is. And but always with exercise as well, I've learnt, basics, foundations, all this hype over. I mean, obviously we love strength training, but there's so much noise on Instagram. Should I be fasting? Should I be doing this? I'm like, okay, don't worry about your food. Worry about your exercise, movement when you're in the studio, because we try and be too many things to too many people, and we can't. I think if you can be a good mindset coach and a good movement coach, you'll have clients for life.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
and
that.
friends
Take
as well.
It away.
Yeah.
Lessons learned.
Yes.
Lessons learned in the journey that you've been on. What would be 2 or 3 lessons that you've learned through that, for the audience to listen and go, I can see that, or I'm gonna take that away?
So one of my biggest lessons I've learned is to trust your gut instinct, to trust myself. Right. I think certainly when I was, Bear and I were in business, there was a few people that gave ideas and I wasn't sure. But because they were deemed as kind of maybe better in the industry or male, I was like, oh, I feel like I have to agree with this, or, and I wasn't outspoken, but I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this. But very quickly I said, okay, if you think you can run with that and you think that's what should happen, let's do that. And now I look back and I think I wish I'd said no, actually back me. I think it should be here. The industry is very male driven still, very male driven. And it's a shame, because female PTs make really good personal trainers, and the female coaches out there that are being recognized, they are really honing in on menopause, female wellness and all the rest of it. Well, that's always been there. I don't train as a personal trainer. I don't train my menopausal women any different, because their personal needs now are their personal needs now. 10 years ago, I was training them differently because their personal needs were different. So yes, we all know about, it's great. We're all learning more about menopause, hormones and all the rest of it. However, I'd ask any PT, well, surely what they need on that day is what you give them, or what they need at that time. So we're just making money out of putting the word menopause, and I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't sell things with a menopause in front of it, or a perimenopause in front of it, or kind of low testosterone and all the rest of it. I think it's personal training. It's personal needs at that time, and
I like that.
Yeah. But it's true, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there is so much out there at the moment, isn't there? Around
so much.
We've got to be menopause that, we've got to be premenopause that. But if at the end of the day, it's how they want to feel about actually a little bit of normality in that session, or that moment in time. Take it away from the head, so they're not having to think about it at that moment in time.
And also, if you're not giving them what they need at that time, whether they're 30, 40, 50, then you're not doing a great job as a personal trainer, because when your clients need to focus more on bone density, or you start adding in a little bit of jump training. I do love Dr. Vonda's book Unbreakable, because we do a lot of jump training on the power plate and off the power plate, and I start structuring that in and at the time that they need it in their lives. But I'm not saying to them, right, I think you're menopausal now, so we're going to do this, or you're right, you're perimenopausal, we're going to do X, Y, Z. There's enough noise out there. All women know if they're perimenopausal, all women know if they're menopausal. It's not like, I think it's great people are talking about it and people are open about it. But, I, about 2 years ago, I was like, right, if I hear the word menopause in my studio today, I'm not training tomorrow. Because I was like, everyone thought they were menopausal at 31. They were coming in going, I've got these symptoms and my sex drive's gone, I've got this, I've got that. And I'd be like, okay, you're 31 with 2 small kids and your husband works away, so that's your sex drive. You're tired. You're just tired. You haven't drunk enough water today. So, start tracking your sleep, start drinking water, start being accountable to your daily life, and then come to me in 3 months' time and tell me if you're perimenopausal or you think you want to go get tested, because it was crazy, and it was just everywhere. So, people can't wait to be perimenopausal these days. I'm like, God, life's too short. Like, ignore it. No. Obviously, do not ignore it.
I love this now.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, you're right. There's an awareness, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Be aware, but don't let it run your life.
Yeah.
Because we are here once.
Yeah.
Regardless of, whether you're male or female, we're here once.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's got to be a party.
Yeah, and we use infrared heaters in our studio. So they're in the top. It's like the hot yoga Bikram side. Like I did my course with Jane Nichols years ago. And I stopped teaching hot yoga in lockdown. And a lot of my ladies that were going through menopause said that their hot flushes got worse. So what I tend to do, if I do know that there are more menopausal women in a class, I will whack the heaters up. And they say that that it doesn't affect them when they leave. They'd never have a hot flush on that day. And so it's all to do with little things that someone will send me the science on that, I'm sure.
Just understanding, isn't it?
It's just understanding people and bodies. And, I love science, I love research, but I also love people more. So, if you're telling me you feel better, if you look better, if your brain fog's gone and all the rest of it, brilliant. That's what I'm interested in. I don't need you to read me a research paper back and say why I don't feel like this.
Yeah.
How do you feel? And being accountable to how we feel, because we've forgotten how we feel.
Being human, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Being human.
Exactly, yeah.
So trust your gut.
Trust your gut. That's one lesson. Yeah.
What's one more lesson for the rest of us listening in?
I think. There's so many. What am I going to pick? I don't know now, Nick. What am I going to pick?
I've stumped you.
You have stumped me. I had about 20 earlier.
Well, you did.
Yeah. So one lesson that I've learned. The trust myself is huge. And I think say no more. I know people say it, but I do think say no more. Yeah. Because you want to say no. So I guess it feeds back into
comes out as
yourself.
yes.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm the worst. Do you want to do this? Absolutely. Yes, I'll do it. My friend Lou's just like, no, say no more. No, boundaries. I think it's boundaries. Know your boundaries.
Yeah.
And, we're always going to have boundaries that we like go past and stuff. But a lot of us don't think like that either. We don't think we should have boundaries or need for boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think as humans in this day and age now, we do need boundaries. So I think I haven't had enough boundaries. And I've definitely had, things happen that I've learned the hard way.
Yeah.
So I would definitely have put more boundaries in place. So definitely.
2026.
But
That's another. See, we're writing our New Year's resolutions as we go in.
This year the horse better be good because I've told everyone, every day I'm like, we're galloping into 2026, shed the skin.
Final question.
Yes.
And throw back to the audience. What's 3 values that you absolutely believe in that is imperative to you going forward?
So I love people with moral compass.
Okay.
Definitely. I think that's a big one for me. I am way too loyal. So I love loyalty in people, because I've had to stay very loyal at times where it would have been easy to not be. But I know when I look back that actually I stayed loyal. I stayed true to myself, definitely. And I've forgotten the question. What am I?
What's the final value that you would take forward? So we've got loyal, we've got that moral compass, which is key to you.
I'm going to make authenticity a value.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that's a big value for me because I can't go to work if I'm not authentic. It's too hard. It's too hard to be someone else. And who wants to be someone else? They talk about our superpower and all the rest of it. And we are who we are. That should be enough for anyone. And if it's not, just walk away.
Say no.
Say no. Exactly. Boundaries.
I love it. Natt Summers, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
Authenticity is what we take away from this.
Definitely.
And certainly personality.
Oh, thank you.
I've loved it.
Thank you so much,
stuff.
Nick.